Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, back out here on Friday at Giga-Texas, not a production day, and of course we know that we're in a production pause for most of the lines anyway, so I didn't really see a lot when it comes to Cybercabs, Model Ys, or Cybertrucks, to be honest, so not going to really focus on the production today. Instead, I decided that I would fly around the site a little bit more, show you what's going on the south side over at the test track, where we've had a lot of rain, so there's quite a bit of mud and standing water, but they have completed the removal of the large dirt pile and are preparing that infield track for a little bit more of the construction that we're going to be seeing pretty soon. I also got a chance to get an update of what's going on with that southeast side River Road extension and the intersection with Robotic Avenue. You can also tell a lot of water is ponding in that new wet pond that they are putting in, and that's going to be very close to that advanced technology fab construction site once that gets going. Also, I go up to the far north, take a look at the construction site there at that north campus. Of course, the geopiers have arrived on site, but because of the conditions, not really suitable for them to get to work yet, but that will be coming up. They'll be putting in the piers at the ground to help support the structure, and additional work is being done for the grade all around that entire site. So a lot of construction is still going on despite the rains and the muds that we have here around the site. Now, the last thing I want to kind of end up with before we head on to the video is to kind of recap where are we with the Artemis II program so far. My last video, they were just about to launch. They had a very successful launch. In fact, we got some amazing views from some of the NASA engineering cameras. And a particular one that I liked is this Cessna shot that was taken from a Cessna flying at the time of the launch. Now, this is a NASA contracted aircraft, and they got some of the best views. Of course, as we know, flying around here, the best views are from the air, and just seeing the Artemis II launch and going through that roll pitch maneuver and heading up to where we had SRB separation, just really fantastic. Now, the status of Artemis II right now is that yesterday on time they completed the trans-lunar injection. That is the about 5.5 minute burn that sent them from low Earth orbit all the way out to the moon, and they are on a rendezvous course now for the moon. They should be arriving at the same location just ahead of the moon when it gets to that spot, and then the moon's gravity will bend the orbit around, and then it will have a free return trajectory back to the Earth. And about 8 days from now, give or take, we should see the splashdown in the Pacific Ocean if all goes well. In between, of course, I'm looking forward to all of the great views that we're going to get from the moon looking back to the Earth. And we have not seen that view from humans and their perspective in over 53 years. So congratulations to NASA and the Artemis crew so far with an amazing mission, and Godspeed, and hopefully that you'll continue to have successes throughout the rest of your mission. So with that, let's get the drone in the air, fly around and see what Giga-Texas looks like today on this Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Another day here at Giga-Texas. For this video, I'm going to start off south of the Colorado River almost over the Sand Hill Energy Plant, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. The reason why I'm doing that is I wanted to show you some of the work that is being done here next to Falwell Lane, with some excavation work, some trenching, and some pipes that are being installed throughout this location. It's a good view of what that appears like. Now, Falwell Lane is the road that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, and it will travel over to the South Bridge, where we see some interesting deliveries being made today. Very large. You can tell by the size of the semi-trucks and the trailers that they are on. And I'm not really sure what this material is. It's not directly related to Giga-Texas, of course, because we are south of the property line, but it is a rather large delivery that's being made. It could be a trailer that would be assembled in this location. But I'm going to kind of move back towards the south a little, pan the drone over to the west. We're going to resume on the other side of the highway. Just want to show you the work that is being done here for some apartments, some infrastructure, the Falwell Lane that's being extended through by the trees, and this water management system with a concrete bunker that is mostly completed. And this is just a good view of that construction that is ongoing here. Now, I did notice that where the old Falwell Lane is located, this is a good view comparing the new one on the right and the old one. There is some excavation work, and it goes down into the tree line towards the Colorado River. So that'll be something I watch to see what they end up doing. I think this old road will be either removed or it'll just be redesignated as something else, maybe an access road with that new one being built. As we get across the Colorado River onto Giga-Texas's property, wanted to show you what is going on with the test track. You can see those black outlines. Those are the silt fences that show the construction site. We're flying over what will be, I think, a parking lot, and of course the access roads that are being defined coming into the overall track itself. You can tell with all of the water that is standing that we had some pretty strong rain and thunderstorms come through the area last night. The good news is that almost all of the dirt, in fact, it looks like pretty much all of it that was that big mound that they were removing has been removed. And as we get into the chicane area of this part of the inner track, we can kind of get an idea of what this is all going to look like once they are able to let this dry out and then come in and finish up the basic road surface, bring in maybe some more geotextile membrane, and then after the topsoil and gravel mix, I'm curious to see what they're going to be using. I think it'll be asphalt, but we will find out together. It's a great view looking back to the factory and how the entire track is coming together. Of course, with the pond directly ahead, kind of still waiting to see if they're going to have an off-road track. I thought I'd bring the drone down and fly along as if we were driving on the track, just to give you a lower altitude and just a different perspective of driving on this roadway, what it may be like when it is completed. So a little bit of fun here, and one thing you can tell is that the corners are not banked. So it's a flat road, and I think that may tell us a little bit about what the purpose of the track might be. But we'll continue to watch as this develops. Bring the drone up a little bit more, kind of panning around the east side of the track, what that looks like with that construction site. And as we get up to the power lines, thought I would take a moment and get a better look at all of the materials being stored here. On the left of the screen, of course, is the supercharger workshop. And we see some of the old windows of the building on the ground at the left-hand side of the screen. But what I did notice is in this trapezoidal kind of section is that there is some activity with these material items, these cabinets, and much of this is associated with the battery cell production in the factory. The fact that they are moving a lot of these items, some of which look like they are being either washed off or prepared for being moved in, is maybe another good sign. There is some recycling that is underway here as well, and they're picking up a couple of those green bins right now. And a good look across this site over towards the workshops for all of the superchargers. Of course, you can see some of the bases on the left, those black items. I think those are those Foley unit superchargers that we have heard about recently. The bottom of the screen is more of the light poles, which we may be seeing in that parking lot for the test track. And as we fly further to the north, another look at the transformers that are being stored here next to some of the containers, and the workshop off to the right.
As we continue to fly further to the north here towards the tip of this new material staging yard that was added in recently, see all of the concrete vault items, some of the steel corrugated pipes, and some other items that are associated with the water management system. Of course, this is a Friday. It's also a holiday, so there is no production going on today. We do see the number of Cybertrucks that have been produced. A couple of these, or some of these were done a couple of days ago, probably yesterday as well. We see that many of the ones that were here have been transported off-site. So these appear to be new that were built within the last, say, 48 hours, which of course is a good sign when we think about Cybertruck production and all the orders that have come in. As far as Model Ys, they're still doing line upgrades and maintenance and so forth within the factory. Going to Cybercabs, we can tell that almost all, except for this one, have been moved away from the outbound lot. Again, a good view of the size difference between the Cybercab and the Cybertruck. And I suspect that all of the other Cybercabs have been moved out for more testing around the country as we are waiting to see what's going to happen with the robotaxi fleet expansion and the introduction of Cybercabs into that fleet. So something to be watching for as we get later into April. The old semi is here. It is still being used to move materials, trailers, and perform other functions and testing around the site. There is also a refreshed semi over at the crash testing facility, which we will see a little bit later. So let's get ready to cross over the highway. I'll kind of give a pan of the entire factory, and we'll resume the narration on the other side. As I pointed out, this is a Friday, it's a non-production day, and it's also a holiday, so there's really not a lot of activity going on here on the west side of the factory. So I'm going to fly along. We'll go around the flag poles and proceed all the way along this berm where you can tell there has been some earthwork. And also at the base of the flagpoles, there was some landscaping work underway. And I want to get back to the south end of the factory. It's a part of the factory I have not been able to show you much of close in recently just because of the location I had been flying. But today I'm flying from the south end, so I'm able to look inside here, this pathway through the facility. This goes over next to the cyber tunnel entrance inside the factory. Also continues all the way over to the east side. It's how materials are brought in and taken out of the factory. Also, as we are at this lower altitude, I wanted to show you what's going on at the southwest corner. The doorways are both finished off now. There's a roll-up door that is up right now, and then the other doors. And that was something that was added in several months ago, but I haven't shown you that recently. This south end with the 3 tunnels and the 3-tier level here by the cyber pond. Looks like the grass is starting to get green. We're getting close to the spring with all of the blue bonnets and all the other flowers that are going to come out. And of course, we'll see a lot more of the trees, grass, and everything else turning green around here. And this shows you what the old caisson site, that large and deep vault, looks like. It's pretty much all flat, not a lot to see. You will notice a lot of birds flying around here. These are the starlings. They nest in the bridges, and right now, since it is nesting season, they see the drone as a little bit of a threat. So that's why you see them flying around when I'm low at this part of the site. Here's a good view of the fork in the road statue and of course the south end of the factory. Staying low over the cyber pond, wanted to get an update of what was going on with this excavation next to the cooling unit. Of course, most of this is all finished. They're putting in the paving today, but we saw some pretty large trench boxes and pipes being added in here. You can see that manhole access cover. So that pretty much gives us an idea of what they were working on and that it is now coming close to being completed. As we go over the power lines, you can see asphalt being added into the River Road extension. I'll give you a closer view of that here momentarily, but first I wanted to show you the work that is being done here, some of the materials, some of those pipe segments, and they're actually molds for concrete, and we can see some excavation work on the southern lane of River Road getting ready for more of the asphalt. You can see that the curbs are in, the asphalt's on that north side, and that it is coming along pretty well. This staging yard has had most of the equipment moved away. We just have 3 of these kind of tanks or silos here and some other materials being stored. As I pan the drone back around, I wanted to show you what is going on here on the east side of stamping. The gantry crane and the SPMT are empty right now. Of course, many of the items that were used on those cranes to load and unload are here next to this new temporary workshop. You can see some of the wooden crates with the coverings. As I pan along the east side of stamping, we can tell by these 2 silos that the Cybercabs production is not happening today. There's no real vehicles there other than a couple of other Teslas. So perhaps the big production will begin sometime next week. I'll keep watching on that and we'll see when that actually develops. Just to the east of the multi-level parking garage, more of the trench work, putting in some of the steel corrugated pipes for water management. I think they're preparing to extend the roadway, which is autonomous roadway. I called it electric roadway inaccurately before, but it will proceed over towards where we see the workshops in the top of the screen, and it will connect over where the new advanced technology fabrication facility will be built. The asphalt for the intersection of Robotic Avenue and Ribbon Road is coming along. See a lot of that water in the pond, some of the mud, and some of the work that the crews are trying to do to be able to continue with the construction. I'm going to stay at a lower altitude here, kind of maneuver around, and I want to give you another perspective of the construction that's going to happen here with that new advanced technology fabrication facility. I've had some viewers ask me about that and where the location is. This rendering shows you exactly where it is, and this is overlaid with pretty much the same vantage point I'm using right now for the drone. And as I zoom back out to today, you can get a really good sense of where this is going to be. I've had some viewers ask if this is going to be if that advanced technology fab is going to be on the north end. No, it's going to be right here as Tesla indicated. And with the work of the River Road and of course the River Park on the left with all the tree lines, this should give it a really nice location for that facility. Now, how much of all this lot is going to be used for that facility? It's hard to tell from the rendering, but I'll keep watching and we'll find out together how much more clear out they're going to do with these trailers, workshops, and materials for that construction project. Speaking of which, this large hill still is in the process of being removed. You can see some of the earth-moving trucks at the bottom of the screen queued up for the dirt to be loaded in. They've removed a lot of the concrete debris and other materials, and this work is going to continue for some time. If you look at the trucks and the excavator and compare that to the size of the hill, you can tell that this is going to be several more weeks of work at the pace that they are going. Just to the north, you can tell where they are doing the excavation work of the old concrete truck maintenance facility. Looks like they've spread out some sort of tarp on the ground that may be to control some contamination, and that's why some of the blue bins are nearby to control all of that. This all existed well before the construction of Giga-Texas, and as they prepare for the construction, they need to make sure it's cleaned up properly. River Road is going to extend through this location, so a lot of the dirt is being brought over here and mixed in with some other kinds of soil, as you can tell with the different colors, to build up the grade here and prepare it for the road to work its way through this location. On the north end, more dirt's being brought in, more of the grade is being prepared and raised. and it will continue to follow along with this pond, which will probably not survive once they start filling it in up to this location, where you see a water truck filling up with one of the tanks, and they're using the water in the ponds to both allow for spraying of the water to control dust around the site, and also help with soil compaction, but also to help drain out these ponds. This is a nice view looking back to all of the areas that we just visited with the construction, and of course the pathway for River Road coming through the trees, and it will work its way underneath the drone into this field on the right, which is Lone Tree Field, and it will continue to progress further to the north, connecting eventually into the new Harold Green Road, which will be constructed through this location. As we get over to where the old rental equipment lot used to be, we can tell that there is some breakup work going on with some concrete at the bottom of the screen. There are some materials that are being stored here, and they're lining part of the site with that orange construction fence that you can see. So that may give us some idea of what is going to be happening here as we get further into the year. Crossing over to the linear hills and ponds with some of the earthwork in the middle of them, we can get to this construction site. And one, you can see all the silt fences outlying it. Two, you can see some of the excavation work here on the south end, almost like they're preparing a different level. Perhaps maybe it'll be for loading docks or so. And then in this location where they've done a lot of preparation of the ground, the GeoPier equipment has arrived. It's being temporarily stored here on probably the one area that has the least amount of the mud, and they'll probably get to work sometime next week to begin putting in all the piers that will support the construction site. Now, these piers, what they do is they bore a hole into the ground, they fill it with gravel, and they compact that gravel to make it a pier with broken up and crushed gravel, which makes it a very strong and a pretty quick way of producing the piers within the ground. As I pull away, we can see more of the work here on the north end, preparing the grade. There's a fairly large hill that they are starting to excavate and put into the dump trucks and move that fill dirt around. And the silt fence, I think, is perhaps outlining where the new Harold Green Road will go on this north end, but that's still speculation on my part. I'll bring the drone back down. We'll fly over this construction site. You can really tell the different kinds of soil with the different colors that are all throughout this location, plus the different kinds of infill that they've brought in. And this is all to, again, prepare the soil, prepare the grade here for that construction. Looking back across the site, you can see Lone Tree Field in the upper left, where that old rental equipment lot used to be on the top left, and where the concrete crushing operation is in the top center. Maneuvering a little bit more here at a lower altitude, once again to show you the excavation work that is being done on the left, kind of a large trench that's being constructed right now. And we'll lead ourselves back over to this sand and gravel mine, hills and valleys, and the tree line that is remaining. And I'm curious to see if this is going to be filled in at some point. Getting closer to the concrete crusher operation, we can see on the right hand side of the screen that hill was removed. It's no longer there, it's flat. We can see some of the conveyors and hopper systems being stored on the right hand side of the screen. Much of the crushed up concrete is being put into trucks and moved around the site, although they still have a lot of concrete to crush, so we're seeing even more of that underway with these large mounds developing on the bottom left of the screen. Here's a good view of the Lippmann crushing operation. You can see all of the rebar that has been reclaimed at the bottom of the screen, and some additional equipment and materials as well. The old pipe here, which was part of the concrete batch plant before Giga-Texas was constructed, is still waiting for its ultimate fate, and a good view across all of the earthwork that is being done on the east side of the cathode building for that River Road extension. More of the platforms on the right to help go along the west side of Cortex 2 to support some of these transformers that were flying over. We'll get a good view of some of that work today. Getting to the crash test facility, can tell that there's a lot of the Cybercabs next to the wall, and of course the refresh semi is still waiting here for whatever purpose it's going to serve here at Giga-Texas. We'll see what they do. Hopefully it's not going to be crushed or crashed. Maybe it'll be used for some testing around the site as we're waiting for the construction, the production for that to begin back in Nevada. As I maneuver around here, we can see that there's been some more concrete being poured at the east side of the crash test dummy lab at the bottom of the screen. You can see that small kind of rectangular section with the forms. And as I zoom back out, a good overall view of where we are located and the earthwork next to the crash test facilities. As I fly over the battery cathode plant, there's a couple things that I want to show you. First, on the roof, you can tell that crews have been assembling some of those pipes and ducting where you see those plastic access points. And the winterized plastic wall around the chiller plant has been removed now that we're well into spring and there's no threat of freezing anymore. There is some deliveries being done and moved up by the crane onto that temporary platform on the north end. And as I pan around, a good view here of the work that's being done just to the north of Cortex 2 and in between Cortex 2 and the battery cathode plant with all of the materials and excavation work that is underway. We do see some more excavation work on the bottom left of the screen. On the right of the screen coming into view is more of the enclosure, the fiber reinforced polymer beams nearly at the height that we'll be putting the fan units on, and that will eventually look just like part 1, which is coming into view. And we do see all of the temporary chiller units on the bottom left and another one of the fans on the main chiller unit. Looks like it's under testing. We saw a different one being tested a couple of days ago. Of course, that along with the temporary chillers are going to be what is allowing the initial operation sometime this month of Cortex 2, at least per the last guidance that we had from Tesla. And the megapacks are also, the part 1 is below the drone. Part 2, which will be built out over the summer, is now starting to get some of those platforms installed. Also, the racking system along the wall that will allow for the conduits and the cable trays to go up over the parapet wall and into the building. Of course, the screw type piers are in place all around through this location, and that will be developed, and we should start seeing some more megapacks, other equipment, and of course those transformers being installed maybe in the next month or so. It'll be something we can watch. The new roadway that connects over to the north part of the electrical switchyard is still being worked on, and as we come in closer here, the main thing that's going on with the electrical switchyard is assembly of this large transformer. They brought in a crane. They're unloading some of the crates, as you can tell, and more of the crates are here at the bottom of the screen. Many of them have already been unpacked, as you can see. Then the broken up crates will be moved up to that northeast section where there's a temporary recycle yard just to the north of where the concrete crushing operation is, and those will be prepared for recycling. As I pan the drone around by the 2 other megapacks, we can see that materials at the bottom of the screen have continued to be moved elsewhere. All of the ones that were here next to the flooring have been removed, and now we can see more equipment for the chiller plant part 2, including on the left hand side of the screen some of the fan shrouds that will be put onto that new structure once it is completed. So I'll bring the drone up to a much higher altitude. We'll pull away to the northeast, give you kind of a good overall bird's eye view of everything that we saw today, and that will be pretty much a great way of coming to a conclusion for this video. As always, I really appreciate your support. Also, your support for the NASA Artemis mission. That's really important for our space program and for everything else that provided me, which allows me to continue to do this work. As always, thank you again and have a great weekend. Take care.